You're reaching for a cup of coffee. Your fingers curl around the handle and you lift it toward your lips, smooth, automatic, yours. But imagine this, instead of completing the motion, your hand abruptly lets go, slaps the table, and refuses to pick the cup back up. You didn't decide that, it just happened. That's not a metaphor. It's a real neurological condition called anarchic hand syndrome, and it suggests the seat you think you're sitting in as the driver of your own body might be empty. Here's the question: how much control do you actually have over your own hand? And if one hand can break from your will, what does that imply about every other part of your body? In 1995, Dr. Sergio Della Sala at the University of Aberdeen published a case of a 67-year-old woman whose left hand would undress her in public. She described it as having a mind of its own. The hand was not paralyzed, it was fully strong and dexterous. But it acted against her stated intentions. Della Sala's study showed that the feeling of "I decided to move" is a construction your brain builds after the movement is already underway. For her, the construction failed. Your own sense of agency is a fragile post-hoc story. In 2001, Dr. Anna Cantagallo at Santa Chiara Hospital in Pisa examined 10 patients with anarchic hand following damage to the frontal lobe. She found that the affected hand would automatically grasp any object placed in front of it, a pen, a glass, a stranger's wrist, without the patient's permission. This utilization behavior happens because the brain region that normally vetoes inappropriate actions is broken. Your conscious no arrives too late to stop it. Your hand grabs before you can even think to forbid it. So if your brain can bypass your veto, you are not truly choosing anything. In 2004, Dr. Marlene Oscar Berman at Boston University reported a patient whose left hand wrote the word "no" on a piece of paper while she spoke the word "yes" aloud. The hand and the mouth were giving contradictory answers to the same question. Her conscious self was unified, her body was not. This split reveals that the sense of a single, coherent you is a narrative your brain assembles from multiple, sometimes conflicting, sources. In 2007, Dr. Hanzato Karnath at the University of Tübingen used fMRI to scan patients with anarchic hand. He identified damage to the supplementary motor area on one side of the brain, a region that normally suppresses unwanted movements. Without it, the motor system fires off commands freely, and you only become aware of the movement after it has started. Your hand acts and then you invent a reason. But ask yourself, are you the author or just the press secretary? But some scientists push back. Dr. Patrick Haggard at University College London argues in a 2009 review that anarchic hand is not a rebellion of the limb but a failure of intention monitoring. He proposed that the brain normally generates a forward model that predicts the sensory consequences of its own commands. When that model breaks, you no longer recognize self-generated movements as your own. In this view, the hand is still following brain orders, just not the ones your conscious mind endorses. It is not an independent agent, it is a puppet whose strings are pulled by a puppeteer you cannot see. Both camps agree on one unsettling point: your conscious decision to move happens after the brain has already initiated the action. Libet's 1983 experiments showed that brain activity precedes conscious intention by roughly 500 milliseconds. 7 decades of research have confirmed that finding. Yet even with that knowledge, anarchic hand remains a deep mystery. No one has fully explained why the hand's behavior feels so foreign, so personal, so insistent. So next time you reach for that coffee cup, pause for half a second. Notice the brief gap between the thought, "I will lift," and the actual lift. In some people, that gap never closes. Their hand moves and they can only watch. The truth is, even for you, the gap was always there, you just never noticed.